This video clip has been brought to you by IT in Canada, Canada's only integrated social media news network. Find us on the web at www.itincanada.ca.
Welcome to the IT in Canada Network. I'm Michael O'Neill, and I'm joined today by Mauricio Sanchez, Chief Security Officer for HP Networks. Mauricio, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Let's start with establishing privacy practices that apply to all employees and data, which is one area in which we found a significant gap between those organizations that considered themselves to be leaders amongst their peers and those organizations that were just kind of more standard inside their peer group. What should an IT manager do to start to establish these policies, and where, in your opinion, do they need to get to before they can tick off that area and say, I'm done and I've been successful?
Well, I think it really depends on what market vertical that particular organization is playing, right? Here in California, there's been a large focus on privacy recently when it comes to social networking. So as many companies start getting into that social networking sector of leveraging IT assets to do things like that, privacy takes a forefront. And perhaps that's with companies that have direct customer contacts, the privacy question is becoming a massive one, and one where they have to tread very carefully because, for example, here in California, the legislators here are already taking up discussions around what regulatory structure should be put in place in order to kind of level set or raise the bar for privacy. So for organizations that have that sort of role in their organization to push a lot of entrenchment to the social networking area, they have to be very careful. But even for companies that are not, I think it's relevant that they do take a strong stance, because if not, the regulators are going to come in, and the days of self-policing and making sure that the privacy is adhered to are going to be gone, and we're going to be in a difficult world where it's just going to be more regulatory frameworks that we have to adhere to.
Do you see differences in the ways that large organizations or mid-sized or smaller organizations go about addressing that privacy concern, particularly around social networking?
I do, because and for larger organizations, they tend to be much more under the microscope just because of the visibility to the greater population and community. So for them, they typically are on the leading edge of being sensitive to that question, whereas in mid-market and SMB, they themselves are just trying to get into that social networking sort of arena, and so privacy to them is still a concept that's perhaps foreign, but one that I think they can appreciate as a social network user themselves, whether it be the owner or the director or their management.
And of course, the privacy regulations apply equally no matter how large you are.
Exactly, and so that's one of the things that if regulatory frameworks start coming to the forefront, it's perhaps the larger organizations that have been thinking about this question just because of the nature of how they're visible are going to be in a better position, whereas in the mid-market and the smaller businesses are going to be playing catch-up, and in some instances may then get penalized if they're found that they're in violation of the regulations.
Right. Mauricio, that's terrific. Thank you very much for joining us here on the IT in Canada Network. I'm Michael O'Neill. Thank you again.
Thank you very much.
To see more excerpts from this interview, go to www.itincanada.ca.